Okay, so I'm going to go through an exercise that's really helpful just to find your balance. Doesn't matter again what tack you have, or if you're in a jumping saddle or a GP saddle or a dressage saddle, it just means your angles would be more open. For example, if I was in a jumping saddle, the angles would be more closed between my ankle and my knee, and it would bring the leg forward, and it just means the hip has to match. So you will feel it forward in your upper body in order to be in control of your own weight. So in the dressage saddle, all the angles are open, and again, the feeling is that my upper body is over the stirrup, and I can stand up easily because the stirrup is the anchor, and the balance comes from there. So if that stirrup stays parallel to the ground, then I won't have any trouble losing my balance off my feet. So if I was to think of an exercise now that Marley would go missing from underneath me, that I would land on my feet. So I have to really get into position and really feel that if he did go from underneath me, that I would land on my feet. So it's a feeling, and so this is where I need to be as light as I can in his back. So I'm not transferring any weight down into his spine with a deep seat, or I'm not too far forward creating weight on the forehand. So if I was to just talk a little bit about the pelvis, if you think about the pelvis as a bowl of water full to the top, and if I was to tip water out the back of the bowl, this would be a little bit of a driving seat, so this would definitely tip water at the back of the bowl, and it would take my natural arch out of my back. So you do want a natural arch, but not too much. If I was to create a big arch, now water would be tipping out the front of the bowl. So again, this would not be great on keeping the horse active in the hind legs, or it would place a little bit of extra weight in the forehand. So I have to have that right amount, bring my tummy into my back, but still have a natural arch. That's there, and then bring my upper body a little bit from the hip joint forward, so I've made my front line the same length as my back and not one longer than the other. So that's important. So at any given moment then, the feeling would be that I could just stand up without being dependent on the reins, and that balance is easy, that it doesn't affect me because I'm not dependent on gripping with the knees or using the horse's mouth to do that. So you really want to feel that you could do that at any given moment. Chin still parallel to the ground, imagining you've got a book balanced on your head, elbows just rested by your side. Some riders feel a little bit that they're forward when they go into this position because they may be used to sitting back a little bit like this in their position. So it's just, yeah, sometimes it feels weird to be in a new position, but let the truth be in the exercise, because if you go with the feeling that it feels right, like this could feel right for somebody, but yet if I said stand up, you feel like you can't. So, or you'd have to do an adjustment to be able to do that first. So really feel that you are standing, bent knees, and you've greeted the saddle. And then I just think this is the fast track exercise to really find your center, to be balanced, and to be as light as possible in the horse's back. Okay, so I'll put this exercise into motion. So I'm going to just send Marley into walk. Good boy. And I'm really going to keep these building blocks right where they need to be. Again, the stirrup is so important to stay parallel to the ground. I don't want that stirrup or the heel pushed down and it sends my stirrup forward, because I won't be able to get up, and definitely I'll plonk into the back. So I really have to have the inner part of my thigh also in against the saddle, so that I feel like I have bent knees, but still the stirrup is parallel to the ground and my toes don't pass out my knees. You don't want to see your toes. Sometimes in rise and trot, the toe may shoot forward, so again, you want to keep it nice and steady. It doesn't move around. Okay, so in the walk, I'm going to get ready for standing up, having the feeling that I'm not balancing off his mouth or anything, and that I can do it with ease. So up and down, and practice that, really master that. So again, my core is switched on, because if I didn't have the support there, you know, I'd look a little bit more like this. It's a bit floppy, it's a little bit unsupported, and so I really have to have the posture correct so that I can have the building blocks supported and then stand up really easy. Okay, so I'm going to put this exercise now into some trot work. Good boy. And whether you're in normal rise and trot or you're in that exercise, you don't want to have to adjust things. And what I mean by that is, right now I'm going to stand up for 2 beats and sit down for 1, so that this exercise is dependent on my balance and not anything else. Good. And of course now I'm in motion. Good. So I need to really feel that I can ride each step as balanced as I can, I have to focus on it. If I lose my balance, you'll see it, I'll plonk down, or the leg will go forward, or hands might come up and things like this might happen. So I can't stand, oops, sorry Marley, obviously I can't do the exercise once I have moved even a fraction out of the typical place. So again, realign, get the feeling that if your horse went missing from underneath you, you'd land on your feet, send him into trot again, and up 2 beats, down 1. Again, you'll feel the upper body maybe a little bit forward, but that is actually what you need to be doing. Good. Your upper body will be slightly in advance of your hip. So whether I'm in my normal rise and trot, or whether I'm standing 2, sitting 1, I don't want to do any adjustments in between those exercises. Good boy, Marley. Good boy. Okay, so get ready for trot, and off we go in trot. 2 beats up, 1 down. To get the coordination, sometimes it's the most difficult part of this exercise, so it's really helpful to say stand, stand, sit, stand, stand, sit, stand, stand, sit, stand, stand, sit. If in the beginning you have to be a little bit here just to get the balance and work your way a little bit back from there, there will be a point where you can't go any more upright without then losing your balance. So there is an absolute truth to finding the right balance in that exercise. So again, 2 up, 2 down. Good boy. So that there's no adjustments from my normal rise and trot to my stand, stand, sit. Again, this is just finding your neutral seat. There's many ways in using your seat momentarily, but you don't want to always be in a driving seat. So back here, sending your horse on like this. And you can see how that affects Marley, you know, so it sends him completely out of balance because it was all way too much. So you just need to be clear on where you are, know where you are in relation to the use of your aids. So the next exercise now, I'll go into some sit and trot, and really again having the feeling that at any moment I could go into my stand and stay seated. Look up, chin parallel to the ground. My upper body's turned also in the direction of the curved line. 2 up. So whether I'm in my 2 up, 1 down, my normal rise and trot, or my seated seat, that in none of these exercises or ways of sitting have I given him all my weight. I'm always in control of my own. And this won't change in the canter either. So you want the feeling that you could stand 1, sit 1. And when you're seated, have the feeling that you could get up again. Good boy. And then you know you are the lightest you can be in that horse's back. And then up. Good boy. So hopefully that helps, just to kind of find that neutral seat where the building blocks should be. Good boy. And make us lighter in our horses' backs.